Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Shatterpoint Stats Center. I am your host Steve, and this week join me as I look back over 16 tournaments across 8 countries with 102 players playing over the last weekend. Let's get right into it. We start off in Australia at the Gaming Arena in Victoria, and we have a couple of 3-0s, the Chosen One and Oleg von Gutner. The Chosen One winning on strength of schedule, only just. Then we have a good handful of 2-1s, so let's take a look at the winning list. So, the Chosen One is running Boss, Fixer, and 7 Scorch. We saw this a lot last week. It is part of the current meta at the moment, using Boss as an anchor. Along with Boss, we then see Hunter, Crosshair, and the Clone Commandos, another very standard build. Then Cassian Andor, Ezra Bridger, and Baze and Chirrut, with General Solo, K2SO, and Lando and R2. So, really, the two big dogs at the moment in the meta, Boss and Cassian, running here a 2x2. Yeah, absolutely solid list. No clear indication of what mission was taken, but these two lists, you've pretty much got everything covered, regardless of what you face there. So yeah, very strong list from the Chosen One. Then unfortunately, Oleg in second has not submitted the full list, but it is incredibly similar to the list that won. Again, we've got the Boss and Obi list here, so I'd imagine the Obi list probably has got Rex in there, and then either the Commandos or the 212. And then Cassian Kanan, I would imagine it's very similar looking list. Baze and Chirrut, Ezra, a couple of Spectres in there as well, maybe. So yeah, again going 3-0, really strong list. Then in third, Aaron Butler on with 2-1. Again, no list submitted, unfortunately, but we see here maybe a more rebel. Kind of a rebel list going on where you could use maybe a Cassian anchor. So we got Cassian, Kanan, Jin, and Leia charming to the last, all there as primaries. Again, all super strong. We're seeing these feature a lot in tournament games around the world. Then Benjamin Johns in fourth has submitted a list, so let's have a look. So we got Cassian Andor, Sabine Wren, and Baze and Chirrut. I love a bit of Sabine in the game. I think she's absolutely brilliant. So that's great to see her on the table. Then Kanan, Ezra, and the Rebel Commandos. So very standard build there. You got a bunch of Spectres, and then you're also gaining the Baze and Chirrut Force Refresh coming in there, along with Cassian's usual shenanigans with the Shatterpoint and this town's ready to blow. And then we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Captain Rex, and the 212. Very standard build, really strong build for that squad there. Along with Kiadi Mundi, Shakti, and the 501st running on Sabotage Showdown. So looks like a 2x2 here, and actually choosing to run the Obi and Kiadi twice, which is absolutely fantastic. I would expect to see the Cassian Kanan twice, but really great to see that the Obi and Kiadi was brought out onto the table twice. Then we have Qui-Gon Jinn, who was running. It looks like here we've got a list, but I think the wrong Princess Leia was probably selected in one match. Because we have Princess Leia charming to the last, Sabine Wren, and the Rebel Pathfinders. Then Jyn Erso, Luke Skywalker, Daring Hero, and Han and Chewie in it for the money. Cassian, Ezra, and Baze and Chirrut, very standard build there. And then Mandalorian, Dengar, and the Weequay Pirates. Again, a really solid squad build this one's turning out to be. We're seeing it played a lot with Riff as well, but interesting to see where that one's been played. Sabotage Showdown, the mission. So let's see. So so it's gone in with Leia here. So looks like it was a kind of a real mix. So again, not seeing Cassian played the whole time. We've got a Cassian Jyn. We've got a charming Leia, rather than Rebel. Leia there, and Jyn, and then Leia and Mando. So Leia and Mando coming in good there. So yeah, really interesting list, that one. And then the final one of our 2-1s in 6th place is Lewis B, and their list Hunter, Rekka and Omega, and Echo and Tech. Interesting. I don't rate Echo and Tech particularly highly in the boss kind of anchor list there. So that's interesting to see that the choice was made there. Then obviously Boss Fixer 7 Scorch, Obi, Cody. Wow, Cody making a list there instead of Rex. That is certainly something to mark down in the calendar. Cody is on the table with the 212. So that's the Obi box there. And then Mace Windu, Crosshair, and the ARF Troopers. Sabotage Showdown the list. The mission. So yeah, I think the real standout here, of course, is that in first place you've got Boss and Cassian. In second place you've got Boss and Cassian. In third place you've got Cassian. In fourth place you've got Cassian. In fifth place you've got Cassian, and then in sixth place you've got Boss. So it really is super clear where the meta currently stands. But yeah, congratulations again to the Chosen One. Looks like a really great event. We move over to Germany for our next event, the Feldfürsten Struggle 1 2026. And we have a 3-0 coming in from Patrick Busheri. So let's have a look at the list. So here we have Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum, fantastic to see, Bodhi Rook and Baze and Chirrut. So interesting to pair Bodhi and Baze and Chirrut with Ahsoka. That's really interesting. Lots of force going on in that squad list there. Then Kanan, Ezra and the Rebel Commandos, very standard build. Leia, K2SO and Lando and R2. Love seeing Leia and K2SO pairing up together there. And finally, Jin, Luke, and Han and Chewie closing us out. So kind of standard Rebel kind of units featuring here on Never Tell Me the Odds, but a real mix. Let's see what the mix of builds was. Oh wow! So it's a Fulcrum anchor here. Fantastic there from Patrick. Really like that. So Fulcrum was the anchor with Baze and Chirrut and Bodhi, making sense there as to why you would, if you wanted to run Ahsoka every time, bringing Baze and Chirrut into every game seems super strong in the meta at the moment. So yeah, once with Kanan, once with Jin, and once with Leia. Fantastic, and congratulations on going 3-0. Then unfortunately the next three lists, all the 2 and 1s, have not submitted full lists. But we can see that we have a Vader, Iden, Leia, and Kanan list. For the first one, looks like the wrong Vader was inputted into Longshanks at some point. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't see the builds that go alongside that. I would imagine it's a Vader, Iden, and then a Leia, Kanan 2x2 would make sense. Although you can often bring Leia in with a Vader list or potentially an Iden list. But I think this looks pretty set to be a 2x2. Then only 3 primaries listed for Mike in third place. Oh, sorry, that was Marv in second. So Mike in third. Only 3 primaries listed. Cad Bane, Mando, and Cassian Andor. So possibly not all of the primaries were played there. And then finally in fourth, what would be really interesting to see the lists on from John 45B is Asajj Ventress, Darth Maul, Kit Fisto, and Anakin Skywalker. So I really would have loved to have seen that list, but unfortunately no list submitted. But yeah, congratulations again to Patrick. Fantastic event. Staying in Europe, we go over to Spain for the ISOC Strikes Back. Only a small event, this one, 6 players, 2 rounds. So I'm just going to look at the 2-0 list here for Cappy, who won. So let's just open that up. So we got Grand Inquisitor, Third Sister, Fifth Brother, Moff Gideon, Death Trooper Escort, and Fourth Sister. So really leaning in on that Inquisitor tag there, with shifting priorities as the mission. So yeah, congratulations Cappy on going 2-0 and winning the event. Staying in Spain, we go to Alicante for the Star Wars Shatterpoint 9 Torneo GTS War and Roll. So let's have a look, and it's Alejandro Rivez winning with 3-0, and Pablo Gomez also coming in with 3-0, and then Francesco Cabiza and Adrian finishing us off with the 2 and 1s. So let's have a look at the winning list. So the winning list, not sure what the format of the event was, as some lists have submitted 4 primaries and some only 2. This list we got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Rex and the 212th, we've seen it before, super standard, really great build, Kiadi Mundi, Shakti and the 501st, brilliant to see the 501st featuring in more lists, obviously following that balance update, and shifting priorities, yeah, very kind of a pretty standard build here, going 3-0, and winning on the strength of schedule. So congratulations there. The next list we see a 2x2, what appears to be a 2x2. I say that there's only one half of the list listed here. We've got Logray, Chewie and the Rebel Pathfinders, Leia, 3PO and the Rebel Commandos in the we've found ourselves all becoming Ewoks list on shifting priorities. Let's see what happened here. So interesting. Okay, so it does look like Pablo actually brought 2 squads with them, but yeah, for some reason the second one and the more played one isn't featured here. But still, congratulations on going 3-0 in the event. Then our first of the 2 and 1s, we've got a Cassian and a Mando. So we've got Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker and Baze and Chirrut, along with Cassian Andor, Ezra Bridger and Han and Chewie in it for the money. So you're bringing two of the 5-point supports there. So that's really interesting. And shifting priorities, the mission. So pretty standard there to see shifting featuring. And the final one we see Boss and Hunter again. So yeah, Hunter, Crosshair, Republic Clone Commandos. It's a standard build, and then the Boss box as usual with Fixer and Sev and Scorch on Never Tell Me the Odds. And I do like Boss on Never Tell Me the Odds. I think it works pretty well on that mission. So yeah, congratulations Alejandro, and yeah, looks like another great event this weekend. Over to Virginia in the United States for the Waterloo Shatterpoint 3-squad tournament. The 3-squad tournament, the first of the Thremiere events that we are seeing. And winning our event here, we have Anthony Halford going 3-0. And then in second, Dan Steinmetz with 2-1. And Skittles 251 also going 2-1, and then in fourth place Jay Willie going 2-1 as well. So let's take a look at the first of the Thremiere list. So Anthony winning with Ahsoka Tano, Jedi No More, Jango Fett, Bounty Hunter, and the Mandalorian Super Commandos, going right back to some of those early releases there. Fantastic to see. You love to see some of these older models on the table. Then we are supported with the Mandalorian, Dengar, and the Weequay Pirates. We saw it earlier. Really strong build, that one there. And rounding us out is Cad Bane, IG-88, and the Bounty Hunters running on Sabotage Showdown. So let's see if it required... So this Thremiere event didn't require you to play all 3 combinations. It simply required you to play all 3 primaries at some point. So there was no need to do a Cad Bane and Ahsoka build here. Instead, you could run the Mandalorian each time and run with Cad Bane twice, and then with Ahsoka in round 1 there as well. So yeah, congratulations, Anthony. Really fun list. Then we move over to Dan, who seems to be running some sort of Ewok list going on here. So we've got Leia, Freedom Fighter, 3PO, and the Rebel Commandos. Then Chirpa, Bodhi Rook, and the Ewok Trappers. And Logray, Chewie, and Zeb making the cut on Never Tell Me the Odds. So let's see what the combinations were here. So we've got a Leia Logray, a Leia Chirpa, and a Leia Logray again. So again, looking for that anchor with Leia, turning everyone into an Ewok, and then just running the Chirpa or Logray to taste. Fantastic stuff. You love to see it. And then, unfortunately, the next 2 lists they haven't had the full list submitted. But we can see a Padme, Anakin, and Mace Windu combination here. I'd imagine that Anakin is the anchor in that list, and you run Anakin Padme once, and then Anakin Mace twice would be my guess. And then we have a Riff, Grievous, and Dooku list. Again, I would imagine that Riff is probably bringing his whole box, and you are running Riff as the anchor and bringing Grievous and Dooku once or twice as applicable. But yeah, lovely to see another event, and we will move on to the next one. We go over to Arizona, staying in the US, and the tournament is called New Year's Resolution, more Shatterpoint, double exclamation mark. That is what we like to see. And bringing out the 3-0 is Christopher Sampson, and then our 2 and 1s are Blastromech, Matthew Butcher, and Daniel Sheave. So let's take a look at the lists. So Christopher winning with Aiden Versio, Gideon Hask, and the ISF. Really standard build there. Along with Darth Vader, Stormtrooper Sergeant, and the Death Troopers. And then presumably the other half of this 2x2 is Cassian Andor, Ezra Bridger, and Basin Chirrut. Surprise, surprise. And the Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, and the Rebel Commandos. Really interesting to see Bo-Katan in there. Really fascinated to know how that played. And the mission was Never Tell Me the Odds. Let's see what the preference for squads are. Yeah, Vader and Iden is the preference here. So the Cassian Mando list only featured once. But yeah, 2 wins with Iden Vader, showing that it is still a super strong list. So congratulations, Christopher. In second place, there isn't a full list submitted, unfortunately, but we've got a Riff Mando and a Jin Cassian list here, and again I spoke about it briefly earlier, but Riff and Mando is a really nice combination. I would imagine it's Dengar and the weak ways in that one, and then the Riff box, and then Cassian Jin, super strong. We've seen it already. Matthew Butcher then running what looks like possibly a boss anchor or maybe an OB 2x2 here. We've got Hunter, Wolf, and the 212th, Obi-Wan, Rex, and the Republic Clone Commandos, Kiadi-Mundi, Shakti, and Phil's Clones. Wow, another chalk it up moment here. Phil's Clones hitting the table in 2026, so early doors. You love to see it. And then the standard boss box with shifting priorities, the mission. Let's have a look and see. So yeah, boss Obi, boss Hunter, and Obi Kiadi-Mundi, as I suspected, an Obi anchor list there. And then finally moving on to Daniel's list in fourth. Again, it's Galactic Republic with Obi-Wan, Captain Rex, and the Clone Commandos, Ahsoka Tano, Nadar, Veb, and Phil's Clones again! Not once, but twice featuring in the event. There must be something in the meta out in Arizona. That is, to see Phil's Clones twice is really interesting. Then obviously Boss, Fixer, and Seven Scorch, and then Hunter, Wolf, and the 212. So maybe there's something going on in the meta there, because that's a slightly different build than we've seen elsewhere over the previous weeks. And this one is not a boss anchor. Instead, it's boss and Ahsoka. Very interesting. And then Obi Hunter. But I guess with boss featuring there, you maybe playing some mind games with the opponent around whether you are running a boss anchor, or actually in the back of your mind you're dropping Obi and Hunter here, and you're running your boss Ahsoka there. I'm just trying to think of how Nadar and Phil's Clones will be playing with that boss list. I guess it will really help in trying to keep your Seven Scorch and your Fixer in particular from getting wounded if you've got those heals knocking around. And then Ahsoka can do a great job in terms of stepping in and helping Nadar Veb. You've got a lot of healing in that list. So yeah, maybe it's fire in the one hand with the boss and water in the other with Ahsoka Tano. Fantastic. I might look at seeing if I can get that list on the table. But yeah, brilliant little event there, and definitely giving us something new to talk about in the meta. We jump over to British Columbia in Canada for our next event, Magic Stronghold Burnaby, January 2026. And just reading the information here, there is a note here that says short version is that it's like Premier, but you have to run one squad as an anchor between all 3 rounds. So an interesting spin on the Premier format by saying that you must have one of your squads running as an anchor list here. So that's something different that we haven't seen. Unfortunately, the top 2 lists that went 3-0 both don't have their full list submitted, which is a real shame, as I'd love to have seen the builds on these. But congratulations to Mago with Cassian, Jin, PLC, so charming layer, and Cad Bane. Lovely to see. I really want to see what that Cad Bane list is there. And Wicked Fictitious with Luke, Leia, Han, and Kanan. Again, would really love to see what that list looked like. But yeah, congratulations to the pair of you going 3-0. Then in third, the first of our 2 and 1s, we've got Dynamic 8. Let's have a look at their list. So we've got Moff Gideon, the Death Trooper Escort and Fifth Brother, Krennic, Vader, Fallen Master and the Death Troopers, Grand Inquisitor, Third Sister and Dark Troopers, and then Thrawn, Boba Fett on contract and the ISB. So loads of Empire flying around there. That's lovely to see. What a wide range of Empire units hitting the table. First Contact, the mission as well. Really interesting. Let's see what the anchor was. So the anchor was the Moff Gideon. I think that's absolutely correct. Moff with GI and Krennic work really, really well, and Thrawn as well is fantastic with Moff. You just get so much movement in that list there. Yeah, so fantastic to see. Then over here, the next 2 and 1, Amber. Oh no, sorry, I've jumped one. Sorry, Chris SV. Chris's list. We got Cassian Andor, Ezra Bridger, Brazen Turret, Leia, Sabine Wren and the Rebel Commandos, Jyn, K2SO and Lando and R2, and then Riff, Nosserai and the Aquadroids. And the anchor is Cassian. Yeah, pretty standard. Cassian anchor there. Love to see Riff jumping in there as well. That's quite good fun. But yeah, the rest of it very standard there. Then on to Amber's list. Amber looks to be running something similar. I think it's exactly the same list. Cassian. No, not quite. Cassian Callus. So Agent Callus making it instead of Ezra with Brazen Turret. Then Leia, Sabine and the Rebel Commandos, Jyn, K2SO and Lando and R2, and then the Riff box rounding us out. So very, very interesting to see two such similar lists there. Then on to the next 2 and 1, and we've got Moose Backer. And this looks like an Ewok kind of style, Rebel Ewok thing, with Leia Organa, Freedom Fighter, Luke Skywalker, Daring Hero, the Rebel Commandos, Chief Chirper, Ezra Bridger, and the Ewok Hunters. Wow, I love Ezra being in that list. That is fantastic. Then Jyn, Callus, and the Ewok Trappers, and Logray, 3PO, and R2, and Baze, and Chirrut rounding us out. I will be interested to see whether it is the Leia anchor or the Logray anchor there, because that Logray list feels really strong with 3PO and Baze and Chirrut. But let's see. And it is the Leia anchor here to turn everything into an Ewok. So yeah, really, really fun. Great to see Freedom Fighter Leia featuring so much already in this week's recap. You know, looking back over the tournaments, that's really nice to see, because obviously we've still got a huge amount of Cassian dominating the field at the moment, and Boss. But really nice to see Freedom Fighter Leia coming in and having some fun as well. And then our final list, going 2 and 1, is Diego, and unfortunately they didn't submit the full list. I would probably guess this is either an Obi or most likely a Boss anchor with Boss, Hunter, Obi and Padme. So yeah, excellent stuff, and on to the next event. Our next event is in Lithuania. Just a small event, new orders. Only 4 players attended over 2 games. We will just take a look at the winning list from Linus. And the winning list is Mace Windu, Barriss, Offie, and the Padawan Learners, Kiadi Mundi, Ahsoka Tano, and the Clone Commando. So really leaning into the Padawan Jedis there on Sabotage Showdown. Absolutely love to see it. And congratulations on the win. We move over to the Netherlands for our next event, and no one went 3-0 at this one, with Auric going 2 wins and a draw, Martin going 2-1. So yeah, we will just look at these 2 lists. Now it seems that there's quite a lot of choices going on here in the squads. So Auric has submitted a full list, so we will take a look. So we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Rex, and the Clone Commandos, very standard. Hunter, Wrecker and Omega, and Echo and Tech. Again, I've spoke about that earlier. Ahsoka Tano, Kraken and the B2 battle droids, and then Luminara, Kalani, and the B1 battle droids. Wow, what a fantastic build. So Ahsoka and Luminara working together there, and then the droids all feeding off each other as well. Shifting priorities is the mission, and yeah, absolutely fantastic to see the Ahsoka and Luminara droid lists played twice to get the 2 wins, and the draw came with Obi-Wan and Hunter. Brilliant stuff from Auric there. And then obviously we've got no full list submitted here, and we have some quite a large combination of primaries here with Lando, Han, Cad Bane, Hondo, Vader, Krennic, and then the Mandalorian and the Armourer as well. So I'm not quite sure what's gone on there, but congratulations on the 2 and 1. To the United Kingdom now for the Oz Strikes Back run in England at Daventry in the United Kingdom. And we have a 3-0 from Jack Bicknell with a list that looks to be Boss and Hunter. So we've got Boss, Fixer, 7 Scorch, Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo and Tech. Yep, very standard build, very strong and on meta at the moment. Then Ollie H in second. Unfortunately didn't submit the full list, but we've got a Kiadi-Mundi, an Anakin, and a Boss and an Obi. Then Dan Humbage here in third place was running a Mother Talzin, Jango Fett, and the Night Sisters, along with Leia, Bodhi Rook, and Han and Chewie. Really interesting there, choosing Han and Chewie over Baze and Chirrut. But also I really like swapping Jango Fett into the Night Sister list there, and bizarrely, and I say this because his nickname is First Contact, shifting priorities is the mission. So either that's a misclick there from Dan, or he did actually go against First Contact and bring shifting priorities. Then Weird Matt in fourth has brought Anakin and Kiadi-Mundi. So Kiadi-Mundi, Nadar, Veb, and the Padawan Learners. Fantastic to see Nadar hitting the table a couple of times this weekend. Anakin, Snips, so that's Ahsoka, Tano, Padawan, and the 501st Clone Troopers. Absolutely lovely stuff. And then Jay Parker in 5th. Jay running what I would imagine. Yep, this is a really fun list that Jay's run against me. There's a slight tweak to when she last played me. But Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, and the Mandalorian Super Commandos in one squad. Then Cassian, Sabine Wren, and Baze and Chirrut in the other. Yeah, you get the best of the Mandalorians, and also you get to really benefit from Cassian and Baze and Chirrut. And First Contact was the mission. No surprise there if you know Jay. And then finally, our last 2 and 1 is Tomo, and Tomo seems to be running Grievous Kalani and the B1 Battle Droids, and then the Riff box with Riff, Nosarai, and the Aqua Droids on shifting priorities. Really standard, strong Separatist build there. Yeah, and congratulations, Jack. Again, looked to be a great event. Back to Canada for my favourite tournament name of the weekend, Tauntaun Rescue. And we have our first 4-0 of the weekend, with Kyle Russell going 4-0, and then we have 3-1. So let's look at the list. So Kyle's winning list there. We have Asajj, Nosarai, and the Aqua Droids, then Dooku, Jango Fett, and the Magna Guard. Then Padme, Pond, and 7 Scorch, and rounding us out, Mace Windu, Rex, and the 501st. So it looks to be a 2x2 with an interesting Separatist build here with Asajj, Nosarai, and the Aqua Droids, and then Dooku, Jango, and the Magna Guard. Let's see how many times that one was played. So only once for the Separatist list, and then the rest was the Padme and Mace list, which seems to be, I'd say, is a little stronger. Yeah, taking the Pond and 7 Scorch build with Amidala, that's great. You love to see Padme on the table. Then moving on to the 3-1s, Cam Passman in second with a Lando Calrissian, Bosk, and Han and Chewie, Mandalorian, Bo-Katan, and Covert Mandos, Cassian, Gideon Hask, and Baze and Chirrut. Really interesting choice of Gideon Hask there. Then Moff Gideon, Death Trooper, and Fifth Brother. So let's see how this build went down. So it's a Lando anchor. Interesting. Yeah, wow. Wow, this is really fun. So Lando and the Mandalorian working well together there. Cassian? Where does Cassian... Okay, so Cassian's not listed here, so I assume Cam will have played Cassian at some point. So interesting to see whether Cassian would have also been with Lando there or not. Bosk is doing a great job in there as well. I do wonder whether the Cassian and Moff Gideon was the plan, with Gideon Hask in there, potentially. But yeah, fantastic. Really, really nice shaking up of the norm there. Really fascinating lists. Yeah, I might take some time and look into those. That's definitely a really interesting build. So yeah, thank you, Cam, for that one. Then moving on to Matthew Goetz, let's have a look at their 3 and 1. So Riff, Django, and the Weekway Pirates. Yeah, Riff goes really well with other scoundrels. Cassian, Dengar, and Baze and Chirrut. Then Mando, Bo-Katan, and the Covert Mandos, and Grievous, Nosserai, and the Aquadroid. So looks like probably 2x2. No, it's a Riff anchor. Wow. Wow, I love it. Oh, this event has really shaken things up. Definitely my favourite event of the weekend here. So Riff going with Cassian. So you've got Dengar in there as well. Yeah, Baze and Chirrut to bring a bit more force. Then obviously the Mandalorian working well there. Interesting that Cassian and the Mandalorian didn't go together because of the because of Dengar as well. And then Grievous and Nosserai and the rest of the Aqua box there. Fantastic list. I love it. This is really shaking it up. I'm so pleased to see that we've stepped away from the standard meta that we've been seeing so far, with that Boss and Cassian absolutely just hammering the meta, and we're seeing an event here in Canada which is really shaking things up. And Ryan as well, also bringing something slightly different to the table. So Ryan's got the Armourer, Paz Vizsla, and the Covert Mandalorians, Lord Maul, Gar Saxon, and the Mandalorian Super Commandos, the Mandalorian, Dengar, and the Clan Kryze Mandalorians, and then Riff Tampson, Bo-Katan, and the Bounty Hunters. Wow! All the Mandalorians, all the time. There was a buy in this one here, which is why you were able to not play the Maul. Was it Maul list? Yeah, so the Maul list has been skipped on this one here. But yeah, fantastic to see. So an Armourer anchor list here. Brilliant stuff. What a fantastic event. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Really enjoyed looking over that one. And we move on to our final event of the weekend. And for those of you who can count, unlike me, we don't have 16 tournaments. We actually only have 12. I miscounted earlier, so there we go. We can chalk that one up as a mistake in the stat center. I will live with it and move on. And we are back in the United States in Vermont for the Premier Star Wars Sunday Shatterpoint tournament to round things out. James Howard going 3-0, and Will Adams 2-1, and Robert Ashley 2-1. Let's have a look at the lists. So James Howard has brought Leia Organa Freedom Fighter, 3PO and the Rebel Commandos, Chirper, Wicket and the Ewok Hunters, Low Grade Chewie and the Rebel Pathfinders, and Cassian, Ezra and Baze and Chirrut. And the build centered around Leia being the anchor. Absolutely brilliant to see. I spoke about it earlier. Really pleased that Leia is getting some love at the moment in the meta. Then Will, unfortunately no list submitted. Looks like a 2x2 though, with Mando, Armourer, and then Boss and Hunter. And finally in third place, Robert, with his list. Let's see that. No list. It simply says Sabotage. So the primaries were Boss and Hunter, which is obviously one half of the 2x2, and then Mando and Armourer closing us out. And that brings this weekend's event to a close. So to conclude this week, obviously we are still seeing a heavy Cassian and boss meta. Cassian absolutely everywhere throughout all these events really, and boss not far behind. But as we've touched on during the recaps, really pleased to see Leia Freedom Fighter coming through as well with some Ewok lists, both real and fake. And amazing to see that Tauntaun Rescue event in Canada bringing such different lists into the meta this week. So all that remains for me to say is, if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell, press the buttons, etc. Leave a comment, yada yada yada, all the YouTube stuff. And I will see you next week for the next edition of the Stat Center. So thank you very much for watching. Bye now.